good to go.
Should we wait for
Yep,
people or just start or?
In just 1 second, I'm going to broadcast and they'll file in pretty quickly.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll get started. Just getting us situated on Facebook. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Delray Beach Chamber's weekly webinar. This week, we have Steve Shelby here today to discuss the dark web. So this is going to be quite the interesting topic. If you have any questions throughout, please go ahead and keep them in mind because at the end, we're going to ask you to put them in the chat or Q&A box. He will be available after the presentation to answer any questions you may have. Please be aware that these webinars are recorded. They are uploaded to the Chamber's Facebook page, our website underneath the webinars tab, and they will also be on YouTube. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Steve. You should be able to share your screen whenever you're ready.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to give an overhead view of my personal history. My first actual real computer security job was at Motorola. I started in 1996 and did that for 10 years where they laid me off in 2007 and I moved to Florida and decided to kind of put out my own shingle and do my own thing. And they spent a lot of money on training and then cut me loose. So I wanted to stay within the security realm. And it's been very exciting. I've enjoyed Florida quite a bit. I moved from the Midwest in Wichita, Kansas, and then moved to Kansas City for a time and discovered South Florida along with everyone else in early 2000. So that was fun. This particular presentation is on the dark web. And you've probably heard the deep web, the dark web. What is it? Why do I care? What are these things? It's a very interesting thing that's happened a number of years ago. You get to the deep web through a particular browser. There is one special browser that you use. It's called Tor. It's called the Onion Router. It's based off Mozilla. You get it from this particular URL, torproject.org. It is free. You run it, you load it. It's a web browser, but the thing is with the deep web and the dark web is it's not centralized. There are pieces. If it's like BitTorrent, there's little pieces, there's no one website, there's no one URL, there's no one registry where there's one person. It's little bits and pieces and you cannot track it. So what happens is you run this one particular web browser. It's based on Mozilla, it's like any other web browser. You run it, it loads up, and what happens is it gives you a VPN. It's like a VPN. It's not actually a VPN. You can use a VPN as well as this and be like 100% hidden. You can do whatever you want. I don't advocate doing anything illegal because a number of things you can run into with this are still, you know, could be felonies, could be misdemeanors, could be mail fraud. Like, you have to be careful. You can do research and look, don't touch. So you can get into trouble with these things. But when you run Tor, it routes all your connections through these various things, various people running Onion exit nodes. So when you go to a particular website, like all these are Onion links. This is called an Onion link. So it's not a website. It's a URL as far as a universal resource locator would be. And the web browser itself starts you out with some things. So you can look up whatever you want to look up. If you want to look up something that you're not comfortable with everyone's privacy, Google Chrome uses Google. Your stuff is not hidden from your provider, so your Comcast or AT&T, they see what you see. Unless you're running a VPN all the time, your browsing history is tracked. You could have a technician that just happens to be looking at your stuff. They probably have policy against it, but they can. They can review. If you're hosting videos and you decide to download a bunch of videos, you're going to get a letter in the mail because you're not hiding. You get a DMCA, a Digital Millennium Copyright Act notice. You will get that in the mail, and it says you are hosting, Friends episodes. It's illegal. So you're not hiding. You're going to get a letter. You could get your service shut off. It's illegal to do those things. So if you wanted to do your research and just kind of poke around, this is what the deep web is. It's hidden. The .onion links take the particular website, and DuckDuckGo is a search engine like Google, but it's not tracked. So when you do a search engine through Google, it tracks. That's why you start seeing ads for things you look at. If you buy something from Amazon, you're going to start seeing ads for these other various things. You'll see it in your Fire Stick videos when you're watching television. It'll start all feeding in. Most people don't care. You're going to see some ads for things that you probably want. But if you want to get away from that, this is the way to do it because it is not tracked. You run the program, you start looking into things. So you click the link, usually copy and paste. Sometimes you can click them, sometimes you can't. But this .onion is a URL. It is a kind of a hidden URL. And you can look up whatever you want to look up. Could be political stuff, could be whatever your heart's content. I don't advocate doing anything illegal because you have a much less risk, but it's not a 0% risk. So, if you can I'm not going to use examples, it's distasteful, but things that you can look up, some things you want to look up with privacy in mind, bearing in mind your local laws and, being aware of that. So any .onion link is a Tor link. You can go to where you can look up whatever you want to look up, Bitcoin, washing Bitcoin, trading Bitcoin, all kinds of counterfeit stuff. That's the lightweight stuff. There's amazing amount of badness you can get into, and that's where the dark web comes in. There's places to buy drugs. You can do whatever you want to do. They ship it to you. You want to take that risk, you can do that risk, but that's what it is. That's where you can go to do these things. So the dark web for you is a risk because when you have your account credentials compromised and someone gets your Yahoo email address and password, or someone breaks into your Dropbox, or anything you can imagine, your credentials are out there. And that's what happens when people get ransomware, when they get viruses. The old days of just making a ha-ha, you infected, no one cares about that. They want your information. There's no money in destruction. They want to bring in your information. They want to hide. They want your banking information. There's places to sell compromised credit cards. There's places to sell your email address and password. You can get it for pennies on the dollar. You can buy, you can buy and sell whatever you want in some of these marketplaces. And the marketplaces are in the dark web. And you get to those dark web through this. So when you have something compromised, they're not interested in you. They're interested in thousands of links. So when you see something in the news where UPS or Capital One or somebody gets compromised, that's value. So if you are a hacker and you write a new virus or you buy a virus kit or whatever you do, you get that out there, you get 100, 1,000, whatever people, you get that dump of compromised credentials. That's value. You put your little package of compromised credentials on the deep web for sale. Someone somewhere else that actually wants to use it for super bad stuff, maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you just want to sell it. You can sell it for a couple grand, going about your way, going about your day. The problem with the reason why this is happening is because there's a lot of places that are extreme poverty and extreme unemployment and very smart people. So you've got places in South Africa, Senegal. You've got state actors who actually work against the United States, Russia, China, South Korea, North Korea, not South Korea, North Korea. They're actually working at higher end stuff like state facilities and things like that. They don't particularly care about individual businesses, but they don't have any moral compunction against doing whatever they want to do. So this is why you have to protect yourself, because they don't care. And they're actively working against us in lots of different ways. Taking the politics out of it, there's a lot of people working against the United States. So you have to protect yourself. And if you don't protect yourself, your stuff is going to get out there and people sell and buy that stuff. And this is where it ends up. And this is just a screenshot of the DuckDuckGo where you can search for that. The browser itself updates quite a bit. It's very handy. I use it. It's great. Going back to the dark web, one of the things that is important for you as the end user and the business owner is to be aware that your credentials have been compromised. If you are an individual, you can get free dark web scans from Experian. A lot of credit card companies offer that. There's free dark web scans. We offer a dark web scan. The free dark web scan is what happens when some of these clearinghouse places, let's say Experian, get and they download a ton of information off the dark web. They get it. No one gives it to them. They probably buy it. But then they produce that in a what's called a white hat presentation. So you can search for your email address or your domain, and because they're good people, they will say your credentials are showing in these 23 places. Your Dropbox account, your Yahoo account, your Bellsoft account, your FPL account, your public storage account, whatever it is. If you use the same password and someone gets into these things, that information could be out there. You have to be diligent about changing your passwords. So what we do as a cybersecurity company is we offer dark web breach alerts, monitoring and training, and I do give complimentary breach scan reports for companies. Any one person can do a dark web scan on any email address. If you have a Gmail address, you got a Yahoo address, those are for free. They're a dime a dozen. You can search for free dark web scan. They're out there. You can see what you've got out there, and then you change the password. If you've already changed the password and it's a super old password or something you don't care about, you're good. Who cares? Because you can't remove it. There's no way to remove the information that's on the dark web. All you can do is be aware of it. Once you're aware of it, you change the password. If you use the same password, like your kid's name, your kid's date of birth, your dog's name, Fido123, you break that in 5 seconds. So if you use that same password everywhere and someone has your number, then they're going to try that as far as a compromise. Like if someone gets into your Yahoo account, they're going to go through your email. They're going to get all the email addresses, and you might have a bunch of other stuff that you have saved in your browser, and they get into your saved history. If you log into Yahoo has a synchronized a synchronized website. So if they get into your Yahoo account, they're not getting into your computer. They get to a Yahoo account. You'll never know. And then they get your saved URLs in your favorites. They use the email address and password you already have to scan all those URLs you have saved out there, and then try your stuff. All of a sudden, use the same password. They get into 5 or 6 other things, and then they springboard off of that. And a lot of their stuff is automated. These people are not standing here working on you. They are dumping in thousands of email address and passwords and just scanning and scanning and scanning, because where they are, it's not illegal. You can't do that here in the United States, because if you start going crazy doing scanning and brute forcing and doing all these bad things online, Comcast will shut you off in a heartbeat because they can detect these things. I could run a network scan on anything online, chasebank.com, they're going to shut me off in a heartbeat because they're paying attention. If you're in North Korea or Russia or Prague or something, I don't care. Maybe Prague, but these people, the state actors, don't care. They have rooms of people actually trying to do bad things. So not only do they not want to stop it, they want to encourage it, and that's why you have to be vigilant on your stuff. So what we do is a dark web scan with a breach alert, and I'm going to use my example of my company. What we do is we can do a complimentary scan for your business and put in the URL. So I put in farvision.com. It takes a few minutes to go through, but then it gives me a breach alert, and I can send this report out, and it shows me, my provider that I use shows me all these things that are out there. Some of these I've used, some of these I haven't used in a very long time. It will show you what it has found out there, and it will show you the passwords. It'll show you the hashes. It's not going to, the provider themselves is not going to show you the password, because what I could do as a paid product is run a scan on somebody else's domain. I could get their email address and password, and then I could go nuts, and they're not going to do that. So what they show is a hash. So if I have a common password that I use, it'll show the first couple characters and have like a random characters. So it won't show me the actual password, but it'll show me that it does have the password. And then you have to say, oh my God, I better change this password. So that's what the dark web scan will do for you, is to show you what has been found out there that will allow you to change your passwords. That's a little bit about what the dark web is. As far as information the dark web is anything that is illegal. All the illegal stuff that you cannot go and find on Google, you're going to find it out here. There are search engines, there are clearinghouses. So you can go to a particular onion link and you can go to places, marketplaces. They call it a marketplace. There's different ones. There's Empire, there's Ariel, I think. There's different names. They've got all these, it's like a bulletin board from the old modem days. You can go to these marketplaces, you can make an account. They take Bitcoin, you can buy some Bitcoin, you can go in there and you could buy the stuff right now. They want to sell. There's buyers and sellers, it's business. So you can find compromised credentials, you can find credit cards. That's just information services. There's financial services, there's compromised PayPal accounts. You saw a screenshot earlier. Drugs, guns, whatever you want. That's where that stuff is. And that's what the dark web is. It's not just information services, it's a sales and clearinghouse where all the bad stuff happens. So that's something to be aware of, because once your information gets out there, you can't remove it. It's out there forever. But that's where the dark web scans come in, where you get a breach alert on your compromised credentials, and then you're aware of it, and then you can change it. So that's a little bit about the dark web and the deep web. Do we have questions? It's fascinating stuff. I really enjoy it.
If we have any questions, please feel free to type them down in the chat or in the Q&A box. Steve, forgive me, is this the end of the presentation?
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and stop sharing your screen now.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. Yes, no, that was quite fascinating. Again, everybody, please, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in chat or Q&A. Steve is here to answer some. So I know you kind of went over this a little bit in your presentation. I'm going to go ahead and jump start if that's okay. You said that you can't remove your information from the dark web once you're out there, right? There's no way whatsoever to do that. You kind of just got to...
No, you have to roll with the punches. There's no way to remove it. Like if you have a bad Yelp review, you can submit a, I forget what they call it, adjudication or something, and they want your money, and they may or may not remove it, but there's like Angie's List or any other common normal review site out there. If you have a restaurant and someone leaves you a bad review, it's out there. You can reply to it, but you can't remove it. If someone's talking bad to you on their Facebook page, you can't ask Facebook to remove someone talking badly about you. You can remove your tag so you can't see your name, but you can't remove the actual post. That's up to the individual user. So once the information's out there, it's out there. You can't, that's best case. That's actual real company that would actually maybe help you remove something. But in this particular case with the dark web, those credentials are out there forever. There's absolutely zero way to remove that because the nature of it is distributed. You couldn't remove it if you wanted to.
Right. So I have a question here from someone who's watching. So since it can't be removed, should we just stop using that email account, or I know you said you can change your password. Is it better to stop using the account altogether?
It depends. I wouldn't say stop using the email because it probably has value. You're probably getting email. It depends. If it's an email address you actually use for correspondence, you do want to keep that. If it's some random email address like steveshelby1234@comcast.net, and I only use it for my Comcast account, make a new email address or put in a Gmail address, throw it away, who cares? It's easy to change the password. So once you change the password, they don't have access to that anymore. There are a couple of websites where you can use to get better passwords. So if you Google for a random password generator, or if you're using Google, and in Google search, you put in random password, Google Chrome itself has a password suggestion tool. So when you go to change password, it'll say, we suggest this long, crazy password, and then it saves it. So you don't actually have to know it. I sometimes copy them down, paste them into a notepad file or something, and I keep that tucked away. But you want these long, ridiculous passwords, and shorter passwords can be guessed. And if you use the same shorter password, your risk level is very high because they can use the same password of all your email addresses once they find them. And it's easy. It's like leaving the front door unlocked. So if you do a change password and you use a random password, a suggested random password, it's just crazy long, and then you have the browser itself, Mozilla will do it, Chrome will do it, it'll just save it automatically, then you're good. You change the password. I would advocate people changing Facebook passwords. You could turn on multi-factor authentication. There's apps on your phone. Facebook will text you a short code to log into your Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
You can add your home computer as a trusted device and nothing else. So if someone actually has your Facebook password and, excuse me, if someone has your Facebook password and you're not paying attention and you use the same password, they can log in to your Facebook and you will never know. You have to actually go into Facebook security, turn on multi-factor authentication. It's called MFA. it'll text your phone, or there's a particular app that you can get on your phone, which has a random one-time password. It's a rotating code. Free. It's not a challenge, but you put it in. So when you log in, you put that in. You have to put in layers of security to protect yourself, because I've seen it all, man. I have friends that have worked in places, and the people that work there are shady. It's a shady business. They do shady stuff. They might wait till you go to lunch. If you leave your phone there, if you leave your Chrome logged in, they will log into your account. It's like it's unbelievable. Like you wouldn't no one would do that at the chamber. You should do Control Delete Log, but no one's going to actually sit down and like start screwing with your stuff.
Right.
Not every place is like that. So once they have your password, because if you have your password saved, there is a very easy way to go into Chrome and see save passwords. So I could sit down, I could look up your password and like write it down or take a screenshot or a picture. I could go home laughing all the way and like, let's see what she's up to. And if you do a lot of, let's say you have a fun lifestyle, you go out there, take a lot of pictures, you have all your fun, you have your work life, you have your home life, your home life and your work life separated. You don't want people to know that. You don't tell your workers what you do. You don't share everything with everybody. Well, if you're not paying attention and you don't have your digital life segmented with a saved browser or a fake separate email to use only for work, people can get into that. Untrustworthy people that are clever and have no moral compunction can log into these things. And that's why, even if you don't show up on a dark web scan, you have to protect yourself.
Right.
So changing Facebook passwords, changing all your passwords, that's a thing I suggest.
Right.
Absolutely.
So would you say, this is again another question from one of our viewers, would you say that it's best to use a VPN on every computer?
I would say,
a loaded
well,
question.
yes, no, it's a good question. There are extremely cost-effective, good VPNs out there. I like to use, I just bought one, Ghost something. It'll come to me. There's plenty. There's Nord, there's PIA. They cost about $50 a year. A VPN is only a point-to-point encryption. It's a virtual private network. So you can turn on VPN on your desktop or your phone or whatever. You can go to Facebook. Facebook's encrypted anyway, but you can go to, let's say, your public library. That point-to-point encryption, it's encrypted. So Comcast and everyone in between cannot see that, but it's not a panacea. Like if the library gets hacked and your connection is on there, that connection is still alive. It's just a point-to-point connection. It's not a magic wand, and it doesn't protect the information on the other website. So if you're doing stuff, like if you have an online bank, which is some kind of non-encrypted, old school wackadoodle bank that's not with it, and they get compromised, your credentials are still compromised. You can run a VPN all day long. It's not going to help you. So a VPN protects from prying eyes at that time. So if you've got someone that works for Comcast or works for somebody, there's a lot of information traveling around, and a lot of the stuff is encrypted automatically. So if you're logging into your Yahoo account, that's encrypted. Facebook's encrypted. Facebook Messenger is encrypted. Using WhatsApp, using all these tools, it's mostly encrypted anyway. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. VPNs are awesome. I do advocate that. I have one. I turn it on when I need it. I don't keep it on all the time because it's a false sense of security. It's just encryption. It encrypts the connection. It doesn't actually encrypt the credentials or the endpoint on the other end. So,
right. So it's still important to kind of be mindful and be aware of, you
right.
know, other things going on. Okay. So Steve, can you tell me what the difference between the deep web and the dark web are? I know you talked a little bit on both of them, but can you go elaborate a little bit further on that?
The deep web is on-indexed content that is I don't know if encrypted is the right word, but using the Tor browser, using onion links, you can find wikis, you can find information. It's encrypted and distributed. So like a particular website that might have a PDF, the PDF might be 1 meg, very small PDF. On a regular web browser, the website will have that one PDF on that one website with one IP address. You click it, it downloads, it's done. The Onion router has it split off into 1,000 pieces, so no one knows where the PDF is coming from. And it could be a PDF for a recipe. It could be anything. That's just the deep web because it's not indexed. Google does not have that. No one knows about it. You have to go to that particular site, that particular onion link. It's hard saying the word website because it's not really a website, it's distributed. So you go to that onion link, you might find an onion link of recipes. It could be anything. It's not illegal. If it's not illegal, it's just unindexed. It could be hidden, it could be presented, it could be something you have to look for. It could be somebody send you a link to it. It's not available unless someone shows you it. Naturally, it's probably going to be illegal and bad if someone goes through all the effort to do all that, but it doesn't have to be. That's the difference, because the dark web is anything dark, illegal. Drugs, guns, child pornography, you name it. Anything that is like federally restricted or state restricted, like obviously, you know, Title 1 through 4 drugs, buying and selling, weapons, all that stuff, obviously, no bueno. That's dark web.
Okay, so the deep web isn't necessarily like a terrible thing. You could go there for something specific, and it's not, you know, it's
like
not
political stuff.
Correct.
Like the Q anon whatever stuff. That's not illegal. It's there's nothing. It's conspiracy theories wherever you land politically, but it's not. You know, you can go to that stuff. Here's the difference. So let's use that example. So the Q stuff might be hosted on a website, and the website provider, and there was something that just happened. I forget. It was I think it was that video. There was that one video where the president had those 10 or 12 medical people, and they were talking about something or other, and it was kind of a fringe. It was kind of a fringe theory. It was shared on Facebook. Facebook kept shutting that video down. Facebook kept shutting that video down, and then finally the website. I forget the website. It was some common website like GoDaddy or Gator Hosting or something. They shut down the website. So that video went away. I mean, the video never goes away, so it's probably on YouTube or something. But YouTube or GoDaddy or HostGator or Facebook can say, this video we don't like, we're turning it off. You don't get to share it. We do fact checkers, we hide it, and you make that choice. But on some stuff, they remove it. They make that choice. Some of the stuff with the Onion router and some of the political websites, no one can shut it down. You can go to conspiracy theory to your heart's content. No one will ever turn it off. So that's the benefit of some of these things, because you can go nuts with whatever side of the spectrum you're on, but no one will ever take that away from you. So that's just regular deep web stuff. That's not necessarily dark web. So there's places for that.
Right.
There's it's not able to be stopped. So you can look up whatever you want to look up.
Okay, wonderful. And then I actually have one last question. So if anybody else has anything they'd like Steve to answer, please feel free to type it down below. How often would you suggest doing a scan to make sure that you haven't been compromised? Is that like a once a year thing? Is it anytime you get one of those weird phishing emails? Like, how often would you suggest?
Every 30 days.
Every 30 days, really?
Every 30 days, yeah. I used to have, on my corporate accounts, we have a 90-day password policy, and that's too far. I do 30 days.
Really?
There's so much badness out there. It's
like, I gotta go change all my passwords now.
and I offer free dark web scans, so I can scan you guys. I can let you know It doesn't cost me anything, doesn't cost you anything to let you know what's out there. Maybe 30 days is too high, maybe 60 days. 90 is too far.
Right.
Maybe let's say 60. But because the cost for processing is going down,
Mm-hmm.
supercomputers, the cost of computer equipment to crack passwords is becoming more cheap. You can rent an Amazon instance for pennies a day. If I get a list of passwords and I want to crack the passwords, I can spend $10. I can buy a supercomputer for a couple hours. The cost has gone down, so the risk mitigation vector is also decreasing. So you can't rely on passwords being good for a year or 6 months or 90 days,
Right.
maybe 60, maybe 30, but it's something to continually be aware of.
Yeah.
The banks, your online bank doesn't let you use the same password for a year. They give you a thing. You got to change your password.
Right.
It's something that happens.
So it's kind of like a better safe than sorry type of situation. Yeah.
There's password managers out there. We don't offer that. I don't like having a password clearinghouse for my clients. So I like to advocate them managing their own passwords, but there are password managers out there. So you can have a particular service that keeps all your passwords, so you can log into that. And the names escape me. I should know them, but there's vendors out there. So you can have that service suggest passwords, and you can tell it that you want to change your passwords every 30 days, every 60 days. So 60 to 90. 30 might be a little short. That's a little work, but something to be aware of for sure.
Okay. And then we do have it's kind of a comment / question. One of our viewers, I have a fear of updating my softwares for that purpose alone. Do you have any suggestion?
I highly advocate updating everything continually. Windows updates itself all the time. If you don't, because what happens is they take the hackers and viruses take advantage of holes, take advantage of flaws. So an older version of Java might have some exploits that could be taken advantage of. If you don't update anything, you are taking time on. The axe is swinging. It's only a matter of time before somebody gets in. You have to update your Adobe. Adobe will probably suggest, you see that pop up in the bottom? This needs to be updated. Click here. Do it. If you're suspicious, give us a call a friend. Is this legitimate? You can go to Adobe. If you see something that's suspicious, you can go to adobe.com and download the Adobe Reader for free from them if you're suspicious. If you get an email, that's probably a scam. Just go to the website. Java needs to be updated. Java's being kind of phased out, so that's not as relevant anymore. But there are definitely older versions of Java out there. The new, Java is from Sun Microsystems. So if you go to, I think, java.com or Google for Java, the newest installer will check for older versions and remove the older versions while upgrading your newer version. Chrome updates itself all the time. The newer version of Microsoft Edge. Zoom has a new update. 5.2 just came out a few days ago. Everyone should update everything all the time whenever it comes out, because you're ahead of the curve. If you don't update, or you don't pay attention, or you don't care, you've got a flaw that is waiting to be exploited. And it's only a matter of time.
I'm guilty of that. My husband yells at me all the time because I let it I'm like, oh, it's got an update. He's like, update it now.
You don't have to let it rule your life. You can pick a time like Sunday afternoon. Okay, I'm done with all my work. Let's shut everything down. Let's do all these updates. Like when we have service contracts. So when we have a client that we manage for a service contract, we have a maintenance window. Our maintenance window, their maintenance windows depending on their, depending on them. So I usually use Sundays. So we update all the servers. We reboot. We update the workstations. I can go and I get a list. We've got these Windows updates. Office 365 updates itself automatically, but you can do a force check. You can screw yourself by taking an update too quick because it might be a bad update. So maybe wait a day or two.
Right.
Because there was a thing with Office that happened a few weeks ago where the Office update, which happened automatically, they did something wrong. They screwed it up. So the Outlook was crashing all the time. It took a lot of people down. We had to roll back. And we have a script which rolled back automatically so they could get back to work. Microsoft fixed it. And then on the next update, it was all good. So if you happen to not do anything, you were good. If you were too quick to update, you got screwed. So I wouldn't wait too long, but I would pick a time on Windows itself. If you hit the gear and go to setup, update is one of those screens. Pick a Sunday afternoon, go through it. It's maintenance like a car. You know, you can't run without an oil change forever. You don't have to go every weekend, but you know what happens when you don't ever do it and you know your car blows up. So you can't just wait forever on these things.
Right. All right. And it looks like I have another question. How do I know if someone is phishing?
You have to really pay attention. And when you get an email, like half of it's psychology. So if you get an email that says, we need to, you know, Amazon shipped you something, click here. Well, did you order anything from Amazon?
Right.
You know, UPS, do you have a delivery from UPS? When was the last time you used FedEx? Do you really care that FedEx wants you to change your password? You use the mouse. You know, the technical answer is you take the mouse pointer and you hover the mouse pointer over the little URL that's highlighted in blue, and the URL that it's going to go to will show up on the bottom. So if you get an email that says, let's use Amazon because that's a good one. They can fake the emails pretty good. The spam, the spoofed email addresses would come from, you know, sales@amazon.com. All the graphics are the same. Anybody can steal the graphics. But if you hover that mouse over that button or that link, you can see if it goes to amazon.com, or if it goes to some wackadoodle address.ch or .ru, China or Russia. Like, okay, it's obviously no good. It could be a compromised website. It could be some wedding planner website. When someone hacks a website, they use that as a springboard for spam and phishing and spear phishing. So when you hover the mouse over the link, you can see where it's going to go and not click it and just delete it.
Oh, wow, that's a really neat trick. I mean, I'm sure we've all gotten those emails and it's like you open it, and I sometimes even just opening it alone. You haven't clicked anything, but opening it alone kind of sends you like jittery.
Opening it is a click. So if you click something, it'll go to a website. That website itself could be compromised.
Right.
So I've seen this 1,000 times. It could be a bakery, a wedding planner. Who the hell knows? Could be anything. Very benign. The webmaster, the person that runs the website, maybe they did it themselves. Maybe they went away. Maybe they're out of business. Maybe they abandoned the website. The website gets hacked because websites have to be updated too. WordPress updates itself all the time. There's security packages that you run behind the scenes on WordPress to secure the WordPress instance because it's just data. There's SQL databases, there's PHP databases. Those can be compromised. Those can be hacked. You can get into the website. You can run malicious code on the website. So if the website gets hacked, I'm going to use my compromised email list. I'm going to send the Chamber of Commerce a very nice looking email that says, we want to join the Chamber of Commerce. Can you click on our website? It's a wedding website. Oh, great. Let's click. Well, the website's compromised. And all of a sudden, if you're using an older browser or an older version of Java, these things run. All of a sudden, and your antivirus is no good, or it's old, like it's some free Norton or something, you get infected. You get wrecked. You do nothing except click that one link, and it gets in. And that's the way they get in. So, you know, keeping everything updated, using decent web browsers, that will help that. And the real question, the answer to the question is you don't know if someone's phishing. You have
Right.
to just use your due diligence. And one of the things that it's user education. So you have to be aware of what you're looking at. There's no technical solution
Right.
like an antivirus or a firewall that will stop phishing. It'll stop spam and it'll stop viral payloads, but the mind and the eyes and the body and the hand will still click that link and will still go out there and do things. And
Right.
that's where you have to like not do those things. So one of the things we offer is phishing training through that same vendor that we use. The vendor we use has all these great phishing emails, the phishing training. So when we have a client, one of the things we'll do is work with the CEO, CIO. We'll do a phishing training. We will send out a phishing email. They get the report of who clicked the link and the percentages, and it has charts and graphs and PDFs and all the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So we present that as a training entity to the client. Well, half your organization, click this link. We have some training to do. So, there's videos and how to, what to look for and these things. So it's user education.
Wow, that's really neat that you guys offer that. That's a really neat tool.
Yeah. I mean, there's no technical solution that will let you click whatever you want without repercussion, because it's just, you have to be smart about what you're clicking. And that comes from the thinking brain behind the mouse. You have to
right, don't blindly click.
Right.
Oh, it looks like we have another question that came in from one of our viewers. I work for the county, and one of our programs for our main database only runs in IE. How much at risk is this?
It depends. I read about municipalities getting wrecked all the time because their stuff is so old. And I understand that there have been dollars put into a solution. It might be an older solution. There's risk with that. An older version of Internet Explorer has flaws. Those flaws can be compromised. Now, I understand a municipal solution can't be upgraded in 6 months or a year or every 5 years. It's not something that can be done. I get that. But hopefully the IT department has mitigations in place to prevent a flaw, and that's all we can hope for, because the longer you go without upgrading the solution, you're at risk. So an older version of Internet Explorer has a lot of flaws. It's like someone, like a doctor's office who has their solution on Windows XP, they don't feel like changing. Maybe their provider, the line of business application provider that they run their business on, has gone out of business. Well, he doesn't feel like upgrading. He doesn't feel like switching. Everything works. It's just fine. Let's leave it alone. There's 1,000 flaws out there for Windows XP, for the old version of Explorer. You're highly at risk, just because, I mean, the more employees you have, the more you're at risk. And I have 1,000 examples where a municipality will get ransomware and they got to pay millions of dollars, 4 times as much, at least, as what it would have cost to put a good solution in place in the first place. The cleanup and the repair and the after effects are always going to cost more. Even if you don't pay the ransom. If you pay the ransom, you're just paying them to do it again. So there's no easy answer to that question. There's no way to make you feel good about that answer, because using older stuff puts you at risk, because the tools that are used against that, it's automated. There's scans running all the time. You're exponentially more at risk automatically. Even if you firewall everything off, someone could find a thumb drive, they could click a link. There's risk.
All right. Well, that's what we're going to end the presentation on. Oh, no. But thank you. That's definitely very informative. The whole presentation was quite fascinating to listen to. and we really appreciate you taking your time today. So if we have no more questions, again, please be aware that this will be recorded and uploaded to the Chamber's website underneath the webinars tab, YouTube and Facebook. And Steve's information is going to be provided as well. That way, if you have any questions after the fact, you can reach out to him directly. As we can see, he's very knowledgeable on the topic. And thank you for joining us. We hope to see you next week at our weekly webinar on Tuesday, again at 12:30. Steve, do you have anything?
I did put the, I neglected to have a URL ready, but our website is farvision.com. We do have a free book on the dark web that is on the website. There's a button on the website to register for that. It's a PDF. It's an ebook. It explains a lot of what I talked about and a lot more. It has examples. It is fascinating. It is from another one of my vendors. It is a lot of information. As well as reach out to me through email or phone on the website for your complimentary dark web scan. We're happy to do it. I want everyone to know about these things. Doing nothing is not really a solution anymore because there's so much badness out there, and they're not stopping. They're not stopping just because, you know, mostly what I hear is I have a small business. They don't care about me. I got nothing to keep. I have nothing to hide. I don't care. No one's coming for me. They don't care. It's automated. The scans and the viruses don't know or care, but they're becoming more sophisticated day by day. And if you don't do anything to protect yourself, it's a matter of time. And if you don't have good backups or good antivirus and something gets in there and you get ransomware or everything gets encrypted, you're out of business. So, you know, protect yourself.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We hope you have a great rest of the week. And thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.